and now we're going to focus on All-State Etude number 2. Etude number 2 is again from the Wildey concert studies, but this one is number 3 in that entire book. So we have a very similar key to the first piece that we played, but a very different feeling and mood overall. This particular piece, it's very beautiful, it's very sad, slow singing and lyric. So this is all about expressivity and seeing what you can do with the music. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you make the most out of any little crescendos and decrescendos that you see in there. And if you find a spot in the music that maybe you think could use a little bit more musical inflection, go for it. There's nothing that says that you can't add in a well-placed crescendo or a decrescendo if it makes musical sense and it adds to the beauty of the music. It's a way that you can put your personal stamp onto some of the music that you're going to be playing for All-State. So let's go ahead and get started with some of the playing and then we'll talk about it. So I'm going to divide this particular etude into 2 chunks from the very beginning, measure 1, to the cut that we have at measure 16. So I'll play through this and then we'll talk about a few things. So with this etude, the very beginning of it, hopefully you could hear on the long notes, I never let my air get weak or lose direction. Either I was getting louder or softer or adding more of a vibrato. Something was happening to make those longer note values just as exciting and dynamic as the quick ones. Along with that, when you get to measure 7, make sure coming down from the high B flat, you do not lose that forte dynamic. That's another spot in the music where under that slur, we have notes that want to get a little bit chirpy on us every now and then. So having that strong, firm air, that directional air pushing to the next downbeat, that's really going to help you to get through that more smooth than if you start to pull back your air or it gets stagnant. When you get to measure 10, we have a low A flat to low F in there. So again, we talked about that thumb A flat in the previous etude. If you have that, make good use of it here. If you don't, try to have as little pressure as possible on your A flat key and keep your pinky as close to the roller as possible so that you have a very light, smooth transition to get to that low F. In measure 13, really make the most out of that little retard right in there. It is such an exciting piece of the music. It's so unexpected. And so we really want to pull back and make a lot out of that so it's noticeable and it sounds like it has intention going into measure 14. We don't want it to sound like we are having a mistake in notes and slowing down because we don't know what we're doing. We're doing this on purpose as a way of setting up the downbeat of measure 14. As you get to the end of this cut right here, before we take a huge chunk out of the music, there is yet another retard. Make sure that you make the most out of that too, keeping in mind what your air support will allow, getting down to the low C. So for this particular half of the etude, really keep firm directional air. Always have a purpose with where your air is going so that it can help that melodic line. And I'm thinking that you're going to be surprised at just how much easier the technique is overall when you have a really good, strong airstream throughout. So now we cut to the upbeat to measure 47. We're cutting out a pretty large chunk of the middle. So in here, it's much of the same thing where we're really going to think about the air always moving. Longer notes, we're going to be doing something with them to keep it exciting, whether it be a crescendo, a decrescendo, altering up our vibrato, or something like that. So let's now go ahead and play from the pickup to 47 to the very end of the piece, measure 58. So the nice thing about this piece is that throughout both of the areas that I just played, you're using much of the same technique. You don't have to worry about something new, different, unique for a different section. It's really all about supporting that air, especially when you're going up to the high C in measure 56 and also the high B flat in measure 47. Those are areas where sometimes we want to back away way too quick with our air, and that reduction of air often equates to a weakness of airstream, and the notes coming down from there, especially the leaps that happen, those get a little bit squawky on the bassoon if we're not careful. So throughout all of this, really focus on the lyric line, the beauty, the use of the air. And this one, I really encourage you, if you can, to think of this in a slow 3 and have the dotted quarter be the beat and not the 8th note. If you have the 8th note as the beat, then it has a chance to sound a little bit more jerky overall, less fluid and lyric. So when you become more comfortable, try to really think about this in a big 3 instead of a small 9. Good luck!